So this is just a class kick. I'll go over it with you guys. I'm just gonna like read through it. If I say something that doesn't make sense, just type me in the chat, tell me to stop or like explain better, and I will. Okay. I can see your guys' chats and everything. So you just let me know if you get confused or something, and I'll help you. Okay. So a monomial is just a number, a variable, or a product of numbers and variables. So for example, 5, that's just a plain number. It's a monomial. Y, that's just a plain variable. It's a monomial. This is a monomial because it's just multiplying numbers and variables together. So this is like saying 3 times x times x times y times y times y. Okay, it's just multiplying letters and variables, letters and numbers together. Okay, so it's a monomial, it's only when I'm multiplying. So like this x plus y is not a monomial because it has addition. This is actually a binomial. Binomial because it has 2. So I think it was Ezra who pointed out yesterday in class that monomial means 1. But this has 2. It has an x plus a y. So that's not a monomial because it's adding. This isn't a monomial because it has division. And this isn't because it has subtraction. It's only allowed to have multiplication. Okay. There's a Khan Academy video here. You guys can watch that later if you haven't already. He just kind of says what I just said. So when we are multiplying monomials, and you know what, you guys, I better make a copy of this, otherwise it's going to be changing everybody's. Oh, goodness. Where's a little duplicate? Okay, here we go. Everybody like, oh, wow, look at me. I already got all these questions right. Okay, so here's this one. So when we are multiplying monomials, when they have the same base, like this, both of these have a base of x. So the base is like the big number or letter, and then the exponent is the little one, right? So this is the base, that's the exponent. But when we have the same base like this, we just have to add their exponents. So like, what would this be if you added their exponents together? X to the what? Yes, x to the 6th, because we just have to, oh yeah, and plus I just saw your chat sheet. That's a good way to remember monomial and multiply both start with an M. That's pretty good. Yeah, so it's gonna be x to the 6th. I'm gonna use a little up caret to represent, well, maybe I am, it'll type. I'm gonna use a little up caret to represent exponent. I could make another text box, but I don't wanna do it, so. Okay, so when they have the same base, you just have to add their powers. So for this one, same thing, but this kind of has some more stuff involved. It also has some coefficients. Here's the thing that people get confused. Regular math is still regular math. 2 times 3 has always been 6. It will always be 6. 2 times 3 is 6, okay? Exponent rules or exponent laws or properties of exponents, you hear a lot of different ways to say it. They only apply to exponents. 2 and 3 aren't exponents. They're just regular old numbers. So you just multiply them, okay? Now let's look at the A. So this A does have exponents. So when I'm multiplying and they have the same base, so A and A, all I have to do is add their powers. So that will be A to the, one person already private chatted me. There goes somebody else, A to the 5th. You just have to add them, okay? Same thing for the Y's. So I'm multiplying, ooh, you know what? I don't like how this looks. I thought I could just be kind of lazy and get by with it, but it's gonna bother me. So I'll go back and add another text box. Okay, sorry. This is probably me being really picky, but that just looked terrible. So I'm gonna make this a little smaller. So that was A to the 5th, okay? Now for my Y's, Same thing, I had the same base, so I'm gonna add them. So I just have to do 3 plus 4 is 7. And that's all there is to it. That's all you had to do. So the main thing to remember here is that the coefficients, the big numbers in the front, they still have to use regular math. 2 times 3 is still 2 times 3, it's 6, okay? But for the exponents, that's when we use our little exponent rules. So same base, add. Same base, add. All right? So for this over here, what would be the correct answer? So I have m to the third and m to the fourth, and then just an m. So that just an m, this is why people would get this wrong. This is actually m to the first. Oh gosh, that looks terrible, but that's supposed to be a 1. Let me try again. Maybe if I use my mouse. Okay, yeah, good. This is supposed to be, whenever you have a variable with no exponent, it's always got an exponent of 1, okay? So that's actually m to the first. So same base, you just have to add. So we just have to add 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. That's it. So same base, add. How do you guys feel about this slide? Does this seem okay for everybody? Okay, one person said good. Everybody else has gone dark. Okay, there's 2 people said good, 3 people said good. Okay, all right. Making sure you guys are kind of getting quiet on me. All right, so this one, power to power. So when I have a power to a power, power of a power, I multiply, okay? And a kind of a way to remember this parentheses between them kind of looks like 2 times 3 anyway. So you just have to multiply them. So this will just be x to the 6th. You just have to multiply. Okay, same thing with this one. Power to a power, we just have to multiply. So I get y to the 12th. That's it. So power to a power, we multiply. So like, what would this be? P squared to the 4th, power to a power, I multiply. So what would this make? Yeah, P to the 8th. And if you remember that activity that we did the other day, oops, I didn't mean to do that. If you remember the activity we did the other day, here, hold on, I'll show you something. So if you remember that activity that we did, P squared to the 4th is really just, so there's P squared times P squared times P squared times P squared. And actually, I'm going to put them up here, I guess. So that's P squared to the 4th means to take P squared and do it 4 times. Okay, that's what that is saying. So if you look at it like that, this is the exact same rule that we just talked about on this slide, about how when you have the same base, you add up their powers. That's what this is. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I don't know if that was helpful or if it was more confusing by showing you this, but hopefully that kind of explains why we multiply. Because it's just saying to take this and do it 4 times. Okay, let's just keep going. This is what I was just talking about kind of a minute ago in the first Zoom, is when we have a power of a product, meaning that there's an exponent outside of the parentheses, we're needing to put that exponent to everything that's in here. It's almost like doing distribution. So like that square, we're actually having to square both of them. Or here, that cube, we're having to cube both of them. So like for this one, 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And then we just have a cubed. And I'm going to do the little ones again because it just looks so much nicer. Oh, maybe not that little. That was a bit. Okay. So how does this? Does this make sense? So it's just saying both of these things have to be cubed. And like I was just saying a minute ago, if you use that same logic, I'll use my snipping tool again. I love snipping tool. I use this sucker all the time. Where something's being cubed, it means to take that and to do it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. So 2a times 2a times 2a. If you look at it like that, it makes sense because 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And then a makes a cubed. Okay? It's just the rule. It's kind of keeping you from having to show all this work. But that's really what you're doing. It's the same thing here. 3x squared, I have to square both. So 3 squared is 9. And then x squared is, well, that one's easy. X squared is just x squared. So that one was easy. Okay? And it's for the same thing. To square something means to have it twice. So it'd be like 3x times 3x. 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. So for this one, what would this be? So 4 cubed is like 4 times 4 times 4. 4 is 16 times another 4 is 64. So that immediately lets me mark these off. And then r cubed is just r cubed. So that's it. Okay? Does this seem okay? People in Zoom? Yeah? Thanks, girls. Okay. And then this one, we already did these two. Okay, thanks, Brock. We already did these two. I just did them earlier in the Zoom. So you already have those answers. And then we just have this one. So when there is an exponent outside of the parentheses, everything has to get that exponent. Okay. So what is actually happening here? And I'll type all this out for you. Is we've got x, and actually make it a little bit bigger. Hold on. This is going to look funny for a minute. Just trust the process, and I'll go back in and fill it in. I don't like when it's all different sizes. And I mean, like when you have to use the up carrots, I just don't like the up carrots. They just look bad. Okay. So that means to take x cubed and raise it to the 4th. Then it's saying to take y squared, and raise it to the 4th. Okay, that's what that's saying to do. The x cubed, raise it to the 4th power. The y squared, will raise it to a 4th power. And now what we're left with is we have power to a power. So remember, power to a power, we multiply. So what I'm going to end up with here, I'm going to end up with power to power multiply. So, get my little box. My x, 3 times 4 is 12, and my y will be 2 times 4 or 8. And that's it. That's all we do. And that's pretty much the whole class kick. This is just telling you what you need to do if you didn't finish yesterday's assignment, but that's it. So hopefully that was helpful.